Hi, 7th grade. Changed my mind about which way I want to do it. Last Christmas decoration is that I don't think I've shown you, besides my trees upstairs, is my Santa table. It's a desk I have that I just have some different Santas on. My favorite ones are these. I have 5 of them. They have the year on them, and it's supposed to be what Santa would have looked like in that year. My grandfather got those when he worked for a furniture store. They gave them out to people who came and bought stuff, and then the employees also got them. All right. Let's talk everything this week. Okay, first of all, it's Monday for me, it's Tuesday for you, so let's keep all this straight. Bible. I will make a video for Wednesday. That will be the last Bible video. The way Bible will go is on Thursday, I will post 2 assignments. I will post a Thursday assignment and a Friday assignment. Because like I said in the email I sent out Sunday, normally we would do Bible Friday morning, and then around 9:15, we would go upstairs for breakfast, and then we would go from there, watching movies or having our normal electives, stuff like that. So, the Friday, but I'm just going to go ahead and post the Friday Bible, that lesson that we would do Friday morning if it was a normal day, on Thursday. You can go ahead and do it Thursday, or you can do it Friday morning. I just need it turned in the morning, because I want everything graded by 4:30, and if I have to send down the emails going, hey, get your work done, I want to get it done early so that you can get it turned in. And then Friday at 4:30, when my daughter gets off work and I'll leave school, we'll all hopefully be caught up and everything graded. Literature. I said this in the email and in the literature video, but I'm going to repeat it in the history video. Trying to stick to normal, but it's only so possible when you're doing things virtually. On Friday, I assigned you Stave 4 and the last spirit characterization quiz that's due on Thursday, just like always. What I assign on Friday is due on Thursday. Then what's due on Thursday would normally be due on Friday. Same thing. You would have turned it in to me early Friday morning. So I went ahead and I've got it turned on, the Thursday lesson, and you can get it done anytime between now and Friday morning. Usually I don't care because I don't grade stuff you turn in until the next day. So, if you turn in your simple solution quiz today, I'm not going to grade it till Wednesday morning. But that's not going to happen because I am not grading stuff you turn in on Friday, Saturday morning, when it's the first day of my Christmas break. No. So I need it turned, if you decide to turn it in Friday, that's fine, but it's got to be early Friday. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, let's talk about history for this week. Today is Tuesday, like I said. So today, you will do Simple Solutions 68. You will take your open book Simple Solutions quiz, and you will read 15.7. Tomorrow, you will do 2 Simple Solutions lessons. Simple Solutions 69 and Simple Solutions 70, and you'll read 15.8. Then on Thursday, you'll take your open book test. That's why you're doing 2 Simple Solutions on Wednesday. So on Thursday, you can just focus on the open book test. So now, let's talk about 15.7 and 15.8. Actually, let's talk about 15.6. To 15.6 ended with, get your book. If you don't have it out, pause me. And we're going to start on page 160. The 11 Years' Tyranny. Charles, who's now the king, dissolved Parliament in 1629. Remember, Charles didn't like Parliament. He wanted to have a complete and total control. So he tries to dissolve Parliament, which starts the 11 Years' Tyranny. Under Charles I, the Puritans suffered severe persecution, including imprisonment, branding on the cheek, and other abuses. Many Puritans left England at this time, which is why we ended up with Puritans coming over here to America. But many stayed, embittered but increasingly determined to deal with their king. So then, 181 starts with the English Civil War. And you end up with your 2 groups. I don't know if you can even see my notes, but here's my really bad notes. If I hold them up so that you can see them, then I can't see the camera, so I can't see what I'm pointing at. Sorry. You have your two groups, the Roundheads and the Cavaliers. They're called these groups based upon how they did their hair, oddly enough. The Roundheads were the ones that were against the king. They believed that we should have a parliament. England should have a parliament, should not have a tyrannical king who was in charge of everything. The Cavaliers were for the king. The Cavaliers believed the king was chosen by divine right, which means that he was also the head of the church. So, of course, and the head of the church is going to be a church that is not the Protestant church that the Puritans want. So, of course, the Puritans are going to be over here on the Roundhead side. The leader of the Roundheads was Cromwell. So, he was the military leader because, as it says, skipping out here to 181, Civil War Part 1, the English Civil War began as the battle between the king and parliament, but as in all wars, armies did the actual fighting. Very early in the war, Oliver Cromwell built a reputation as a military genius, and so he's the one that's leading the troops against the king. Hardened by military discipline, stiffened by religious zeal, and armed with steel, Cromwell's 22,000 troops, known as the New Model Army, were aptly called Ironsides, and so they end up winning. But then what happens is now Cromwell is in charge. And so they end up having another Civil War, Part 2. In the first part of the Civil War, it had been the country against half. But in the second one, it's Cromwell and his Ironsides that are against the Scots who had invaded England. And so now there's a whole bunch of other people that are coming over that originally had been Cavaliers. They're now coming over to Cromwell's side and the Ironsides side to fight against the Scots. And so Cromwell ends up winning, skipping ahead to 182. But Cromwell's Ironsides, facing their greatest foes, swept the field. By the end of 1648, the New Model Army had become master of England. Most of the soldiers in the army had long ago made up their minds that the king, the man of blood they called him, must die. Parliament created a special court to try King Charles, but the court faced several problems. There was no specific established English law under which the king could be tried. Furthermore, the tide of the sentiment in the country, even among the Puritans, was now running in the king's favor. On January 18, 1649, for example, 47 prominent Puritan preachers in London spoke up against the actions of Cromwell and his army. Nevertheless, King Charles I was declared guilty and beheaded before thousands of horrified Englishmen. England's new government was called the Commonwealth, and their country was proclaimed a government. That didn't even make any sense. And the country was proclaimed a republic, a government ruled by elected representatives of the people. But in all actuality, it wasn't. What ended up happening is Cromwell makes himself the Lord Protector. Cromwell ends up dissolving Parliament altogether and set up a new government called the Protectorate. And Oliver Cromwell declares himself Lord Protector. So now basically what ended up happening is they got rid of a tyrannical king and ended up with a tyrannical leader. So he ends up dying. And then his son, Richard Cromwell, comes to power. He succeeded his father, but he quickly fell from power. And so everybody's like, okay, this was a bad idea to get rid of our king, so let's go back to having a king. So they get Charles II, who is the son of Charles I that they had killed, to come be king. He'd been hanging out in France to keep from being killed. And the monarchy is once again a monarchy, and everybody's happy and everything, until they realize this is not a good idea. He was heavily influenced by the French, and so Charles II ends up signing a Treaty of Dover with King Louis XIV to get money from the French king. Charles agreed to obtain toleration for English Catholics and to join the Catholic Church himself. Well, by this point, England is very, very Protestant, and so the last thing that they want is a Catholic king. And then, of course, they have a tan box stuck smack dab in the middle, which we're going to skip, but we'll come back to. Page 183. So, the fear that Romanism or Roman Catholicism might be reimposed was enough to bring Englishmen together. As Charles became increasingly pro-Catholic, a group known as the Whigs arose in Parliament. Charles dies, his brother James II, a Catholic, comes to power. And he tries to make England Catholic. Well, that's not going to work. So they get together, the Englishmen do, and they wrote a letter to William of Orange. Now, William the Orange is the great-grandson of William the Silent, who had once upon a time been an English ruler. And so they're like, can you please come rule us? Please come rule us. Get rid of this Catholic dude we got. So he comes, and when William arrives with his army, James tries to protect his throne, but there's no support among his subjects, so he ends up having to turn tail and leave. Thus, William III and his wife, Mary II, become King and Queen of England and rule as all English monarchs after them under the strict limitations of the English Bill of Rights. The Glorious Revolution of 1688, also known as the Bloodless Revolution, established once and for all in England the principle of government by consent. And so from there on, England truly is a constitutional monarchy. It has a king or a queen, but it has a parliament, it has a prime minister, and from here on out, we're going to see them having more religious freedom and more political freedom, and they are going to be a truly Protestant country. Then you'll go back and you'll read about the plague in 16th century London, and then how the great fire that came through actually turned out to be a blessing, because when it burned London, it also got rid of the plague. It kind of purified and cleaned things out. So, that's 15.7 and 15.8. Like I said, that's the only video I am making this week. So today you'll do Simple Solutions, take this Open Book Simple Solutions quiz, and read 15.7. Tomorrow you'll read 15.8, do 2 Simple Solutions. Thursday, Open Book Test. And that's history for the week. You all have an awesome Christmas break. I'll be thinking about you all, praying for you all, your families, and really, 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 really hope that we can see each other again in person some way, somehow, January the 4th. One last thing. I always like to tell students about a Christmas tradition that my family and I have. Every year, almost every year, either before Christmas or after Christmas, because it goes on both before and after, we go to the Creation Museum. And they have the outside garden all lighted up and pretty. And then they have a live nativity, but they also have the nativity is kind of in the center there, where you would go into the Creation Museum. But then stationed throughout the entire garden is shepherds telling their part of the story. Anna and Simeon, who saw Jesus at the temple, telling their part of the story. The wise men, I love the wise men and the way they explain everything. Elizabeth, the last time we went, Elizabeth was there talking about Elizabeth and Zachariah. So it is just amazing. And everything outside, as far as just walking around the garden, the live nativity, is free. If you want to do zip lining, that costs. They have some kind of like fake ice skating rink, that costs. If you want to go inside, they have a deal to see the stuff inside the Creation Museum and eat their Christmas meal at a special rate. But we just always do the walking around, seeing everything free part, and it is awesome. So I always kind of give that plug for that. So have a great Christmas break. Love you all. Miss you all.